Welcome to Miniatures Rundown. I'm Kevin, and today we are looking into the Emperor's Tarot. Future, 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 future. Future? So, the recent previews that Games Workshop has given us have given us kind of an insight into what's coming up for Warhammer 40k 11th edition. There are some things that are a little surprising and some things that we kind of saw coming down the pike. One of the things that I think really is surprising me is when we got a look at the boys datasheet in the new Orc Codex now upcoming, being the first codex for 11th edition, which also was a surprise. I thought for sure it would be Marines because they're Games Workshop special boys, so we thought that that would be it. But in this case, it turned out to be Orcs. Regardless, though, we got to look at their datasheet, and there were some interesting things in there. One of them being is that the all boys are now going to be strength 5. That was very surprising. I remember back in 3rd edition when orcs were strength 3 and Marines were still strength 4 at the time. Still strength 4. But when orcs were strength 3, but they had furious charge, they got +1 to their strength when they charge. But still, that's a big leap from going from back then being strength 3 now to being just strength 5. So that means they're wounding toughness 4 on 3s, which is really interesting. I wonder if this is a prelude to some other base stat changes coming to Warhammer 40k in terms of how the different species in the universe are defined. Are we going to see Marines go to toughness 5? Are we going to see Death Guard as another Marine variant? I mean, they're already toughness 6, but where are we going to see even more changes in their basic stat line? Eldar, are Eldar going to be speed 8? Are Drukhari going to be ballistic skill 2+ across the board? I don't know. I think that there is some interest. They're exploring some interesting territory with the stat lines and how those represent the various species that are present in the 40k universe, and really changing how they work with each other. Like, for instance, for me, it wouldn't upset me if Votann Kin got an extra wound. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But I think it's an interesting thing to think about, that they're more willing to change the base stat lines of models that we've become somewhat used to in terms of what they do and what their rules represent. Another thing that I noticed, and I thought was very interesting, was the Burna had a set number of hits and blast. Rather than being a D6 torrent weapon, it was a torrent weapon with a set number of attacks. That makes me think that most torrent weapons are going to go in this direction, where they instead have a set number of attacks but have blast to compensate for being able to do more hits to a unit that is larger. I think that that is a really interesting way to deal with what was formerly in former editions of the game template weapons, where a bigger unit you would get more hits. I think this kind of reflects that. I am curious to see what Infernus Marines look like. As a Death Guard player myself, looking to see what Plague Spewers and Plague Belchers do. For Eldar, I'm interested to see what their D weapons look like, the ones that were formerly template weapons that now, what are they going to look like now? Are they going to be, horde clearers of a different nature? It really makes me wonder what kind of stat lines they're going to mess with in terms of weapons. I would love to see the Humble Bolt Gun once again kind of see a glow up and become a real force on the battlefield. For very long, it's just been strength 4, one shot, rapid fire. Often for as long as I can remember. For a period of time, it was -1, depending on which particular codex you played or whatnot. But I do think that I would love to see the Humble Bolt Gun somehow receive a glow up that it hasn't seen in a while. I know that base Codex Astartes Marines have heavy and assault on their bolt rifles. The bolt rifle's a different weapon, though. I would love to see the bolt gun kind of come up and meet that. Other weapons, Melta-Guns, they're currently strength 9. Are we going to see that strength go up? Are we going to see the Melta value change? Are we going to see range changes or rate of fire changes? If you look at any video games or Games Workshop media, they can't even decide what Melta-Guns seem to look like. Sometimes they're depicted as kind of an energy shotgun, and sometimes they're kind of a beam weapon or In the Sephias Kane novels, it's kind of used like a flamethrower. Different authors, different producers, different interpretations. So it kind of makes me wonder what other weapon profiles are also going to see changes. And looking to the future of that. Another thing that is really interesting and really spicy is the pre-painted terrain. Now, looking at the terrain and seeing how it comes on a sprue, you clip it out, you put it together, but it's still all pre-painted, is really, really interesting. I really think that it looks good. Do I think that the price point is about where it should be? I mean, for anything Games Workshop, you can argue that it's not. I mean, honestly, they said that it was a cost of 2 combat patrols for the Armageddon battlefield. And for that money, you can buy your own 3D printer. But in case that's not your bag or it's not what you want, the pre-painted terrain does look like it might be a good product. I'm probably going to end up getting one myself just out of grim curiosity to see what's in there. But the pre-painted terrain does bring up something really interesting. Are we going to start seeing pre-painted models? Maybe not this year. Maybe not next year. Maybe not this edition. But is this pre-painted terrain a test bed to see how receptive people are to pre-paint models? I'm really curious to see. Now, I have heard about a decade ago, unsubstantiated, I want to put an exclamation point on that, unsubstantiated claims that at one point Games Workshop was investigating putting out pre-painted models. And maybe at the time the tech wasn't there, maybe it just wasn't viable as a business model, and maybe things have changed. And with the pre-painted terrain now coming out, is this kind of easing their way in to making fully painted models available on the shelf for premium cost? I'm really interested to see. I think that there's a possibility of that. I wonder how the introduction of that would affect the hobby space and how people interact with the painting and modeling portion of it, which is so integral and so important to the miniatures hobby. Would there be a big backlash? Would there be this big revolution of people like wholesale rejecting these pre-painted models? Or would it be a commercial success? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Games Workshop is going to pull the trigger on pre-painted miniatures? Or is it just going to stick to terrain? I'm curious to see what you think. With that being said, I do think that the future of 11th edition looks very bright. I've played several games of it so far, and I've really enjoyed my experience playing. I know that there are many creators out there that have already said like there's a few exploits available in the rules, and there are a few things that don't quite work the way you think they would in the rules. I know it's going to get ironed out over time, so I don't worry about stuff like that. Look, this isn't my first time with a Games Workshop edition changeover, so like these things are just bound to happen. That being said, I'm having a good time. I hope you are too. Let me know. What do you think is coming for Games Workshop in the future? What do you think is coming for Warhammer 40k in the future? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to see what you think. Now, if you like this content and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe below and check out our Patreon. Every dollar helps bring this content to you, and we are sincerely grateful for it. Thank you so much. Happy prognosticating.